This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. We begin with a big day for the race for presidency. CBN News' George Thomas previews the first debate between President Donald Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden.
President Trump and his Democratic challenger Joe Biden face off tonight in Cleveland, Ohio. There will be no opening statements, and due to COVID-19, both camps have agreed there will be no handshake between the opponents. With the global death toll now topping 1 million, the coronavirus at the top of the list of topics, which also includes the economy and race and violence in cities across America. Trump's campaign telling CBN News they are looking forward to tonight's matchup.
President Trump, of course, is going to have fun with this. He loves talking to the American people, and so I anticipate that he'll do an excellent job.
The former vice president saying he's prepped and ready for round one of the debates.
He's going to want to make it personal. He's going to want to get in the mosh pit. I'm going to talk about why I want to be president of the United States.
Tonight's debate coming on the heels of a New York Times report claiming the president paid no federal taxes in 11 of the 18 years the paper reviewed, and only $750 in 2016 and again in 2017. The Biden camp wasting no time, releasing this ad on Twitter hours after the Times' report. David Brody, CBN's chief political analyst, questioning the timing of the NYT report and the Biden ad.
Has anybody done the TikTok? I have. The TikTok on that in terms of when that Biden ad came out compared to when the New York Times story came out. The New York Times story came out at 6 p.m. on a Sunday evening. That Biden ad was out by 11 p.m. It makes you wonder if the Biden campaign knew that the New York Times article was about to drop.
Other topics for tonight's debate will be the Supreme Court and the president's pick of Judge Amy Coney Barrett for the High Court. The president predicting a quick confirmation process despite objections from Democrats who say her nomination is a direct assault on the Affordable Care Act.
Her qualifications are unsurpassed. This should be a straightforward and prompt confirmation.
Tonight's face-off between Trump and Biden is the first of 3 presidential debates and is set to last 90 minutes. George Thomas, CBN News.
And joining us now with a look ahead on tonight's debate is CBN's chief political analyst, David Brody. David, first of all, what are you expecting from both candidates? What do you think is going to happen tonight?
Well, Wendy, I think this is going to be a cage match. I mean, look, there has been so much bent-up hostility here from both sides. I mean, Joe Biden at one point wanted to take Donald Trump outside and back and have a few fists in his face. I mean, it's going to get ugly. And Joe Biden is going to try to concentrate on the COVID response and health care. Just listen to those 2 main themes tonight from Joe Biden. As for Donald Trump, I mean, I think he's going to say, Joe, appreciate your 47 years in Washington, but it's time to hang it up. And I think we're going to hear a lot of Sleepy Joe talk from Donald Trump tonight. So bottom line is it's going to get ugly. It's not going to be a scene from Little House on the Prairie for sure.
So health care and COVID, the 2 biggest topics you think will happen tonight. What else do you think will be one of the bigger ones? Probably Supreme Court, no doubt.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Wendy, because, we talked about what Joe Biden wants to concentrate on. Now, Donald Trump wants to concentrate for sure on that Supreme Court nomination and really kind of more broadly the culture war that is brewing out there, and this idea that he's for law and order and Joe Biden is not, and that he's for common sense American-type policies and Joe Biden is wrapped in with the far left and AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and all that. So you're going to hear that. I wouldn't be surprised if Bernie Sanders' name came up tonight, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, all those folks, to wrap Biden into all of that. Because let's be honest, Wendy, one of the problems that Donald Trump is having is that Joe Biden is not Hillary Clinton. He just isn't. The polling suggests that Hillary Clinton in 2016 was kind of like the boogeyman, but Joe Biden is not. I mean, people kind of like him, even though they think he's way out there. And I think that's the challenge for Donald Trump tonight.
David, where do things stand right now in the polls, and how much of what goes on tonight will affect either candidate's numbers?
So look, you have about 86% of Americans that say they're going to vote. They say they've made up their mind. So you have about 14% that are persuadable. Now, 14% is a relatively hefty number as it relates to the fact that elections are won at the margins, and it could make a difference. But poll after poll we've seen shows Biden, even with likely voters, in the lead. But I'll give you an example, and I don't want to geek out necessarily with you, Wendy, but just look at Pennsylvania, right? Biden is up 9 points in Pennsylvania. But this just in, the plus or minus margin of error is +5. So let me do some math. 5 and 5, if it's 9 for a lead for Biden, if you take it plus or minus for Biden, plus for Trump, it kind of looks like a dead even heat. This is going to be determined by voter enthusiasm. That's where Donald Trump has the advantage. The question is, will the Biden supporters who support him now in the polls actually show up on Election Day and vote for Biden? If that happens, Wendy, then Donald Trump is a one-term president.
That is the question. All right. Well, do you think these debates are still important to the voters, or do you think most people have already made up their minds?
No, I think these debates are extremely important, especially this first one. Remember, we already have seen mail-in balloting going on. So as the debates go on, they might become a little less and less important because more people have cast their ballots. Now, this is the first one. So this is going to be a big deal. We got 90 million plus people watching the debate tonight. And let's be honest. I mean, everybody's can we just be honest? Everybody's looking for an implosion from Biden, right? I mean, that's what the Trump camp wants. They want Joe to forget something, to basically kill off 200 million people in America of COVID. I mean, all of these mistakes that he's been making on the campaign trail, when he's out there on the campaign trail, they want him to make those mistakes tonight. We're going to see if Joe Biden can keep it together for an hour and a half. If he does, he's going to be the winner of this debate. Even if he didn't do much, as long as he didn't make any major gaffes, the media will declare him the winner. We'll see. I'm not convinced that Joe Biden can make it through an hour and a half without committing some sort of pretty major faux pas. At least that's been the track record, especially late, because of some of that diminished quality of what we've seen over the last year or so.
Well, we will find out in a matter of just hours now. David Brody, thank you so much for that political insight. God bless.
Thanks, Wendy.
Well, for more on this story and the latest from our nation's capital, be sure to tune into Faith Nation this evening right here on the CBN News Channel. Well, now the latest on the coronavirus emergency. 9 states record daily increases in deaths. This, as a new study raises concern about the spread of the virus among children. Studies by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association show the number of cases in children up from 2% in April to 10% this month. President Trump announced plans Monday to distribute 150 million rapid tests across the country in the coming weeks. He says results can come in less than 15 minutes and will be used for the most vulnerable. Meanwhile, an August survey by the Center for Reinventing Public Education finds almost half of the nation's school districts have returned to full in-person teaching this fall. And weeks into the school year, luckily, no sign these reopened schools have become significant sites for virus outbreaks. A Brown University survey 2 weeks in shows less than 0.5% of teachers and students had confirmed or suspected cases. Here now with more is Dr. Neil McCluskey, the director for the Center for Educational Reform at the Cato Institute. Dr. McCluskey, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this is some good news, but teachers' unions have been sounding the alarm for months now about COVID safety in the schools. So what is your take on the fact that so far K-12 schools have not proved to be sites for major outbreaks of COVID?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of alarmism that's gone with COVID-19, and much of it has been directed at education. I think we've had data that's come from the CDC for many months that showed that school-age kids, one, themselves are in very little danger of getting a serious case of COVID-19. And we've seen from other countries that restarted much sooner than we did that transmission didn't happen there very much. It's understandable that people were concerned, but I'm afraid that teachers' unions and a lot of the media coverage was very alarmist, saying that kids were going to die and things like that from going back to school. And what we're learning now is that's just not the case in any sort of large numbers.
Do you think more school districts will begin to offer in-person instruction after this initial positive first month of back to school?
Yeah, we've started to see school districts in different parts of the country say, okay, in the end of October or something like that, we're going to reopen at least partially in person. It may be hybrid schooling. I think they've seen these results come in, that it hasn't been catastrophic. And I think they've seen a lot of students either go to homeschooling or to pods or to private schools, and they're feeling a lot of pressure now to reopen and not seem like they're not a realistic option.
Dr. McCluskey, how important is it for these schools to reopen to help kids that might be coming from families that can't or simply don't know how to support them in online learning?
Yeah, in the absence of sort of attaching money to students and letting them find the schools that's best for them, a lot of people have to have the public schools supply their education because they get the money. And when they say you can only learn online, there are lots of people, some with poor internet connectivity, some who are kids who can't pay attention well when they're just looking at a screen. Lots of kids, for lots of reasons, need that in-person schooling, and it's really been deleterious to them, really hurting them, that they haven't been able to go in person, and we need to get them back into schools.
Absolutely. Dr. Neil McCluskey with the Cato Institute, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
Coming up, how some of the country's best and most prestigious colleges rank when it comes to students' rights to free speech.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Some 20,000 college students recently responded to a first-of-its-kind survey on free speech at their schools. It found the Ivy League is doing a poor job. It also found that 6 in 10 students will hold back on expressing their opinions because of how they think their fellow students or professors might respond. Joining us now with more is Robert Shibley. He's the executive director for the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, and his organization, along with College Pulse and Real Clear Education, organized this research. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, tell us, what prompted you to launch this survey?
Well, for many years, people have been asking FIRE. I'm somebody who cares about free speech. I want my children who are going to campus, who are going to college soon, I want them to have the ability to speak out. Maybe they have strong views on politics or religion. Where should I send them? And while obviously our experience means a lot, we finally had the that question by interviewing, like you mentioned, 20,000 students across 55 of the biggest and most prestigious college and university campuses.
Now, you've got the University of Chicago rated #1 for free speech and Ivy League schools underperforming. What is Chicago doing right, and what are the Ivies doing wrong?
Well, Chicago has made a real effort to stand out as a leader on free speech. There is a Chicago statement that other universities can adopt, and the University of Chicago originated, that communicates the university's values in terms of free speech. And their administrators have been very firm, saying things to students, including very famously a few years ago where they sent a letter to all freshmen saying, look, we're coming to the University of Chicago. You need to understand that this is not a place where we are going to silence dissenting viewpoints, even if you don't like them. And so they've really made an effort, and it's obviously paying off.
Robert, what are some of the other survey findings that especially interest you or perhaps surprised you?
Well, one thing we found is that if you care about being able to speak your mind, actually a larger state university campus is often a better bet than a prestigious school like an Ivy League. A lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that those campuses are also far more ideologically diverse than Ivy League schools. Brown University was the least diverse among, ideologically speaking, between liberals and conservatives among all of our schools. But University of Chicago was up there too, and yet Brown, doesn't perform anywhere near as well. So I would say, while the credentials that Ivy League universities offer are really valuable to many people, if you want to be able to speak your mind and really engage in the marketplace of ideas, they may not be the best place to go.
Well, how do you think the pandemic might affect free speech going forward, given that with more online instruction, more classroom lectures and interactions are actually recorded?
Well, I think that is going to have some deleterious effects on free speech. I think people are more afraid to speak out when it's online. In fact, students said that sharing a controversial opinion they have on social media under their own name is actually their biggest fear that they have in terms of free speech. And so to the extent that classes are starting to resemble that, I think it could have really bad effects on that. At the same time, though, students have been interacting for many years, and I think we've seen that they'll continue to do so, even though I think there are fewer interactions than there used to be, unfortunately.
I'm just glad I'm not in college right now. That's all I can tell you. All right. Well, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, after the break, how the coronavirus pandemic has affected foster care systems across the country and what one organization is doing to help the kids.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Welcome back. The coronavirus pandemic affects families across the country in a growing number of ways, from job loss to even loss of loved ones. For children in foster care, the issue has created more of a challenge. As Charlene Aaron shows us, one agency is seeing more families stepping up to meet the need.
More than 400,000 children make up the foster care system in the United States. Experts say COVID-related family issues are likely to increase that number. But there is good news as more families show an interest in providing homes for kids in need.
Family, those are only wishes I have.
When this video of a 9-year-old Oklahoma boy named Jordan pleading for a family during a local television interview hit the web, the story went viral.
I call mom and dad, or this mom, or this dad. I don't really care.
In just 12 hours, thousands of inquiries poured in to adopt the boy, who had been in foster care for 6 years. The case highlights the crisis of children stuck in the system.
I think it's roughly about 424,000 right about now. And roughly 125,000 of them are available for adoption. So pre-pandemic, we already had close to 500,000 kids in foster care.
Kimberly Offit of Bethany Christian Services says lives are being disrupted, with many seeing a rise in substance abuse, domestic violence, and financial struggles.
Pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, you were already stressing, you were already didn't have the support system that you needed. Now you add the loss of jobs, the loss of income, trying to teach your children at home. It's a lot of stress for our families. So you're seeing that increase in violence and increase in everything now.
That's why Bethany is offering families much needed support, such as meals, transportation, and babysitting, hoping to keep them from putting their children in foster care. Through its Safe Families ministry, volunteers help vulnerable families by temporarily taking in their children while the parents regain stability.
Those families really step in the gap when you have families in crisis. So our goal as an organization is to really keep families intact.
Bethany has also gone virtual to offer information, training, and licensing for those interested in foster care and adoption.
We've seen that a 55% increase in interest in foster care parenting during the pandemic. And that's encouraging because you see communities are responding to the needs of their neighbors. Families who found themselves with more free time, they're able to learn more about foster care and the licensing process, and to be able to do that from the comfort of their home.
Another emerging trend, more single parents getting involved.
A lot of families think, well, if I'm not married, I can't be a foster parent or I can't adopt. And that's not true. We have family, teenagers who may have experienced some really bad trauma, and they may not be comfortable in a two-parent home. So there's a need for single parents to serve our kids as well.
Meanwhile, to raise awareness for foster care and adoption amid the pandemic, Bethany will host a virtual event called Family Changes Everything, featuring Francis Chan, Christian rap artist Lecrae, and others.
You'll hear the message and prayerfully be compelled to move forward and be a foster family, adopt, or support us in our efforts.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
The Family Changes Everything virtual event will take place October 20th. And for more information, log on to our website, cbnnews.com. Coming up, 2 pastors, one black, one white. Their churches merged a few years ago. You'll hear what they have to say about the only one who can truly produce unity and what God wants to do in America. Stay tuned.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Two pastors, one black and one white, talk about what can truly bring people together. It is something they experienced personally back in 2016. An African-American church in Charlotte, North Carolina, merged with a large, primarily white megachurch. The move came after the shooting death of a black man by police and racial unrest like what we're seeing today across America. Pastors Jay Stewart and Derek Hawkins of The Refuge told CBN's The Prayer Link program there is a solution.
One of the things we had to learn to do is something that I've been driving home for the last several years, and that is seek to understand more than we seek to be understood. And I think if we all operated under that principle, we could really gain some ground in seeing healing come to our divided nation.
I think our country and our world is broken, but I still believe that there's hope. My response is to walk in love, to listen, to operate in the spirit of humility, but at the same time also to challenge and change the narrative by letting people know that there is hope and that there are people, both sides of the spectrum, black and white, that see these injustices and feel the same thing that we feel as African Americans in our country, or those who have been disenfranchised or even marginalized. So my goal is to, share the hope of Jesus through this story and let people know that there's still hope. And I know there's a lot of people who are losing hope, but I believe that this story that we're writing, that the Lord has allowed us to write together, is going to share hope and to revitalize hope in our nation again.
Such a beautiful picture of unity that we so desperately need in this nation. Well, you can watch the full interview with Pastor Jay Stewart and Pastor Derek Hawkins on The Prayer Link. That's tonight at 6:30 Eastern. I co-host along with Charlene Aaron, and we hope you'll watch that entire interview on the CBN News Channel. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, please tell us what you thought about the stories you saw today by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.